So as you come to the end of the YDC, you know that the teachings are in your life stories and the stories of other people. And if you can witness how the divine works through those stories, then you'll get an idea of what the divine is, how the teachings are. Because we can struggle and strive and plan and work, put a whole bunch of effort in. I will do this. This will happen. I will work. I'm working hard. But then it doesn't always turn out exactly the way you planned. So coming to the end of the YDC, it's like noticing how those turnabouts happen in life, in your life, in other people's lives. It's like generations and cultures have to unwind and let you go forward. And something has to happen. And it's not always what you think is or what you expected, because we have been fed a lot of illusions, a lot of other people's ideas, and we have our own fantasies, our own illusions that we develop. And often they're developing around another person, another thing outside there. And we who are so, confused and mixed up are going to be the savior for this person, or be the reason. That's going to be the reason for our life. We always have to take it back and ask the divine, what is the purpose of my life? And that is basically the purpose of the whole YDC. The whole learning of the teachings, asking, who am I? Not what I can do, not what I've done, and not how intelligent I am, and not how good I've been. It's like, Divine Mother, what do you want me to do? How can I be of service? So for myself, after the YDC, I thought, well, I'd like to come and live at the ashram. And I stayed on with my 2 children as long as we could. And it obviously wasn't the plan. And so we went back, and there were things that I had to finish, but that desire didn't go away. But how was that going to come about? And one of the things I did was that I wrote a letter to Divine Mother saying that I put it on my altar so that every day she could read it. And it said, just show me the way and I'll do what I have to do. And I thought, well, things are going to happen. And they didn't happen right away. So I thought, okay, well, I'll get my book reports done because I've got this space. Swami Radha said, but you really do have to have something to bring back. And there's often a story she tells about the merchant and the king, and they were going into the forest to live, and they were, going to seek the divine connection. And there was 3 things on his plate, and the king had, 9 or 10. He had more. And the merchant asked, well, why does the king get more? And the divine said, because he's given up more. He had more to give up. And so I thought about that and what I needed to do, what I need to prepare for coming to the ashram, what I needed to be able to bring. And Swami Radha often said, is there even that thought in your mind? Would the divine take care of me? It was a different way to live my life. And I needed that time to find that out. That even in those times, she was there in various ways that I could never have counted on. And it was so magical. And she said at one point, when you haven't asked for it, or when you aren't even expecting it, it's a real gift from the divine. And it really, truly is. You can't deny that something other than you is doing it. And so it's just to keep that in mind and to know that we can expend a lot of energy. And we often say how we spend our energy, how we give our energy, and all those kinds of expressions. But do you know the amount of energy it takes to keep a thought or a fantasy or an idea going, or to manifest an idea into reality? Somebody might have an idea that they're going to help somebody, but what is the reality of it? And it's quite amazing to think that we can just scatter that energy or just use that energy to think that we can bring what we want into the world. How much energy is there for us all? How do you use it and how do you scatter it? What is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose of life, period? It just seems that there's so much greed. I heard on a news report, and this was like such this is such an item, that this woman who was working in like a Salvation Army place where they had a clothes depot, and she found like over $100,000, and she gave it to the Salvation Army. She didn't keep it, and people were astounded. She was a heroine, just for being ethical. That money didn't belong to her, but it was on the news. It was a positive news report for a change, that somebody did something that was positive. How can we rely on the divine? We can only do it once we've experienced, then you know yourself. You know what you have to do, and you know. So all of those things, I took it as something that if I listened and learned to surrender to her message, it wasn't in my time frame. It didn't happen immediately. And Swami Radha always would ask, well, what are you learning now? And so that I would have something that I was bringing to the ashram. And that seemed really important, because the fantasies and illusions we have to be really grounded in the practical. And you think of all that you've been given and all that you know about yourself now. You have to find out what you've got. You have to find out what you know. You have to find out what the divine wants. You have to keep talking to Divine Mother. It's just so very important. Yeah, I think it's quite miraculous. So one of the things she said is that you'll know if you're emotionally independent if you can accept what the divine gives you. We're just blessed in many, many ways, and take that blessing seriously in your heart and carry it out. You're the light bearers. Carrying the light out. Namah Shivaya.